世界で最も安全で裕福で進歩的な国、シンガポール。マレー半島の南端に位置する東京都と同じぐらいの面積しかない都市国家には、世界中から大企業、大富豪が集まり、世界で最も富裕層が多く住む都市として、2024年には世界競争力ランキング第1位、2022年、23年には世界経済自由度数で連続世界第1位、ビジネスに優しい規制環境と低い失業率を整えた世界トップクラスの経済国。治安の面に関しても汚職もなければ犯罪に対する厳しい罰則や街中には防犯カメラが多数設置され、違法行為に対する取り締まりも厳格。そして1人当たりの GDP が世界トップクラスで、国民の生活水準が高く、社会福祉制度、生活困窮者に対しての支援も充実していることから、犯罪率や暴力などを評価した社会の安全と治安を示す世界の治安ランキングにても2024年世界第1位。つけ込むところがないほど完璧かつ優秀な世界で最も豊かな国、シンガポール。しかし今回の滞在で見た現実は、そんな表の顔とは裏腹にあるもう一つのシンガポールの実態でした。
はい、皆さん What's up? バッパー翔太でございます。現在はシンガポール久々に来ております。前回の動画で世界一物価の高い都市ということで、生活費、物価について動画ね、シェアしたんですけど、経済ですね、治安、ライフクオリティ、非常に優秀な国で旅しやすいところでね、シェアさせてもらったんですけど、今回ですね、地元の人といっぱい話す機会があって、また新たな側面から見たシンガポールが見えたということで、皆さんシンガポールにギャング、トラック、違法売買、犯罪、想像できますか？いや、まさかシンガポールにこんな世界があるとは。Right, so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, so what's your name?
My name is Bruce Matthew.
So are you gang member now?
Now I'm not, but I was a gang member for 30 over years.
Oh wow. So how many times have you been to prisons?
5 times.
5 times. What did you do?
I've been in prison for drug consumption, drug possession, voluntary causing hurt, stabbing someone, cheating, forgery, escaping police custody, fighting, a lot of things.
How can you get the drugs in Singapore and what kind?
We still have drugs in Singapore, heroin, weed, ecstasy, and meth.
ちょっと待って、シンガポールといえば世界一治安が良く、法律が厳しい国として有名。ポイ捨てはもちろんのこと、国内でのチューインガムの持ち込み、飲食禁止、路上喫煙、トイレの流し忘れにも罰金が課せられる罰金大国。特に違法薬物に関する法律は世界で最も厳しく、密輸の罪では死刑に至ると。そうして一発で失神してしまうほどの残酷な鞭打ちの刑罰が存在する国として、犯罪対策は万全なはず。
Because we imagine that Singapore is such a clean and no darkness, perfect country, right? But there's another side of the Singapore that you are saying, right?
As long as there's money to be made, people will take the chance of importing drugs in. Singapore is one of the countries where if you get caught with a certain amount of drugs, that's it. You get the capital punishment. But yet, people are willing to take the risk. All because there's money to be made.
Okay, so how was prison life? Did you get hit or something?
Judicial caning, yes. All in all, I received 21 strokes of the cane.
21?
Yeah, caning is no joke. The cane is 4 feet long. The thickness about my finger. And all the caners are specially trained. And all their forearms are very big. When we get caned, it is not just redness. Your backside actually tear and you start bleeding.
Did you scream? Ah! No, why not?
There is, in the past, prison used to be very gang-centric. So if you belong to a gang, there are rules that you have to follow. And one of the rules is if you get caning, you cannot show weakness. You absolutely cannot. Because if you show weakness, as in you scream or you cry out, go back, you are liable to get ostracized or even punished for it.
シンガポールに誕生した最初のギャングは香港からやってきた広東語を話す中国の秘密結社と呼ばれており、その中でもギーヒンと呼ばれる秘密組織は当時構成員1万9000人の規模を誇るシンガポール最大の秘密組織。これらの秘密結社は中国移民に相互支援を提供するために設立されたと言われ、シンガポールを含むマレー半島ではイギリスの植民地支配下においてインドや中国からの労働力を背景に発展が進み、秘密結社は当時貧しくお金に困っていた中国移民に雇用主を探し、仕事などを与えるなどの支援、労働力の代わりに組織に入り安全を確保、必要に応じて経済的援助、医療や葬儀の手配などの支援と保護を提供したと言われ、当時ね、貧しい国で成長過程であったシンガポールには溢れるほど仕事があり、どんどん人員が増え拡大していき、同じ活動を行う新しいギャングも増えていき、シンガポールでかなり影響力を持っていたみたいです。そして時代の流れとともにね、19世紀半ばから後半にかけて多くの秘密結社は組織的な犯罪グループへと変貌し、違法賭博、アヘン取引、金銭貸し付け、その他ね、犯罪行為に手を染めるようになったと言われてるみたいです。
Yeah, this is a typical scene of Singapore back in the 1800s, right? You see down there, there's a group of coolies sitting down enjoying themselves. So what you have to understand is that in the past, there wasn't a lot of entertainment available. And of course, being coolies, they didn't have a lot of money. So what they would do is they would sit down, chit-chat, after work, when they have a bit of money, drinking, gambling would be their vices. And another thing was opium.
Wow.
Because being a coolie is back-breaking work. So at the end of the day, everywhere, the whole body hurts. So when you take opium, what it does is it stops your body from aching and it stops them from thinking or from missing their family who's back in China.
Like, so that's also gang was selling to the opium and those kind of things.
Of course, only gangs sell opium. No?
Yeah. So that's one of the business too.
Yes, big business. It was big
Right.
Drugs is always big business.
Yeah. さてやってきたのがですね、チャイナタウンということで、ここはね、初期のシンガポール移民人口発祥の地ということみたいで、現在はですね、世界一物価の高い都市の中でも高い地区の一つって言われてるみたいで、コンドミニアムとかやったら3億円するみたいです。バーとかね、レストランとか、ブティックショップとかいっぱいあって、現在ね、観光地で賑わってるところなんですけど、以前はですね、違法賭博の聖地だったみたいで、
So this street was filled with gambling dens and a few opium dens too.
Okay. So when you were gang, like what did you used to work? Like how did you make money?
There were things like gambling.
Yeah.
I used to help out in street gambling. I used to do loans, loan sharking. These two were predominantly what I did.
You didn't sell the drug?
So one thing about me very strange. I love to take drugs.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I never liked selling drugs.
Okay.
Because I guess I knew taking drugs was wrong. And I knew that taking drugs was bad. And I did not want to influence others.
Oh. Thank you so much for your time. What's your names?
I'm Andrew.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
So, are you the gang member now?
No,
No?
not anymore.
So why did you, decided to be the gangs?
I think it's more of a friendship.
Friendship.
Friendship, brotherhood.
So how many years did you belong to the gang?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, maybe 5 years.
Alright.
Yeah.
And did you go to prison also during that time or no?
Yes.
Do you mind if I ask you what did you do?
Stupid things, man.
What about I'm quite interesting about tattoos and then Singapore tattoo has a meanings or what's up if you belong to the gangs you have like a tattoo like a gang tattoo or something.
There are. The most noticeable one you can see if people have something here.
What does it mean? Like if you have a here, it meaning like a gangs.
Yeah, mostly. I don't know. It's like passed down from like a.
Alright.
They call it like the mark of like a fighter, like you can fight.
Right.
So they do like a
Wow,
line or like a dot.
If you see tattoos, you recognize which gang is this guy is from.
But now you can't
Oh, okay.
Now in 2024,
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell.
Oh,
At
okay.
all.
But before, yes.
Yes.
Ah.
But they will usually keep it hidden inside.
Somewhere not,
Yeah, you will never see.
Oh, you can't see that, yeah.
Yeah.
So what about the Singapore? Like, if you have a tattoo, it's people like look at you quite a bit of strange or like quite open as a fashions now.
10 years ago, it was
Oh, okay. So
kind of strange.
now start changing.
And now it's slightly better.
All right,
So
slightly better.
people- Also depends on like how you come off as.
Yeah. Also, Japan's kind of like if you have a tattoo, bad impressions.
Yeah.
Like for example, if we have a tattoo, it's quite difficult to get the job and stuff like this. What about here? It's like if you have a tattoo, it's quite difficult to get the job or no?
Certain job.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you get maybe like government job,
Mm-hmm.
especially like teachers.
Mm-hmm.
If you work for the government office, you can have some small tattoos, but not.
Like a hidden spot, it's okay, but not like.
Yeah, not like
Yeah.
not like anything crazy.
So what was your turning point to now you're a tattoo artist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your turning point?
It's tiring to be always on your toes to like look up for stuff. Like because let's say if you have something on with a different group
Mm-hmm.
and you go out with your friends
Mm-hmm.
or even back then like your girlfriend or something, and you have to always like watch your back,
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Singapore's not that big.
さて今やってきた場所がですね、ゲーラン地区と呼ばれるところで、ここはですね、シンガポールで最も犯罪的かつ違法なものが売られている場所ということで、昔ほどではないんですけど、現在もですね、ギャングの管轄があって、テリトリー分けされているところみたいです。
Now where we're at is called Geylang. Geylang is a very gang-centric area.
Okay.
Different streets have different gangs associated with them.
Alright.
Previously, they had illegal gambling in the back lanes. That has been stopped already
Right.
by the government.
So what about now, like they are gang member, right? Like what kind of job they are doing?
A lot of them are into selling contraband cigarettes, smuggling in, selling pop mixture, and of course, vape.
That's also the gangs.
So with the advent of the internet, physical gambling dens are getting less and less. Most of them are transiting into online gambling.
Right.
There's also a large number of illegal prostitutions going on in Singapore, and that is gang control.
But how is that possible? Everywhere in the cameras, and then maybe police sometimes maybe walking around to check it. But how they can still doing that?
For example, if I sell pop mixture here,
Yeah.
police isn't standing here looking at me for 24 hours. Cameras, there's still this thing called blind spots.
Blind spot. Okay, maybe you're gonna show me where is the blind shot.
Okay. You see down there, there's a camera right at the end.
Yeah.
Right, so depending on where the camera is focusing on, let's say the camera is focusing here,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right? The focus is right down this alley,
Mm-hmm.
but it cannot capture any scene that's behind this wall.
Okay.
So that area is a blind spot.
All
So for
right.
example, if I were to sell drugs,
Mm-hmm.
I sell it down here,
Right.
nobody will know.
Okay.
現在もね、ゲイラン地区を歩くとこんな感じでね、怪しいものを売っている人がちらほらいる感じですね。
So what they are selling on the street?
They were selling imitation Viagra for sex enhancement.
Okay, but it's not
Sexual
illegal.
prowess. It's illegal because these are not the real stuff.
Oh, it's a fake
They're-
one.
They're fake one. There are people who took it and died. So there were reports, if I'm not wrong, 2 reports of the elderly who took it and then went for their sexual exploits, and while doing it, they died.
シンガポールはインド洋と南シナ海を結ぶ位置にあることから密輸の街とも呼ばれ、英国が19世紀初頭に国際海上貿易の中心点として港の施設を発展させ、世界最大で最も忙しいハブ港の一つとして2世紀にもわたり地位を維持したが、その一方で高い交通密度は全ての貨物を徹底的に調査することは難しく、密輸業者はシンガポールと隣国との規制などの違いをうまく利用し、麻薬、武器、タバコ、お酒、象牙などの大量の の違法品が密輸されてると。そしてね、イギリスの植民地時代はインドやオーストラリア、中国大陸などの間でアヘンやお茶などの東西交易、三角貿易の中心地点として機能し、近年ではアフリカから中国への大量の象牙などのね、絶滅危惧種の野生生物部位の密輸、アジア各国へのベネズエラ産の石油の密輸の中継地点として利用されているらしく、政府はね、厳しい法制度を制作し奮闘しているが、現在も過去も世界最大の海上運送中継地点かつ巨大な密輸ハブとして機能しているそうです。
Why did you start taking a drug and then why did you, start belonging the gangs?
I come from a single parent family. As such, my mom had to work all the time. She goes out early in the morning, she comes back late at night. And I got no siblings, no brothers or sisters. I was the only child. So as such, I was very lonely. And when we reach 12 or 13, we want to find our own identity. We want to find companion. So sad to say, I found companionship in the wrong places. So at 13, I joined a secret society in Singapore. And 3 months into joining a secret society, that was when they introduced me to my first stick of weed, marijuana. And like I said, I tried it, I loved it. And that was the beginning of all my problems that lasted 30 years. People in society are saying that it's okay to do soft drugs. My take, drugs, any kind of drugs is drugs. There's no soft drugs or hard drugs. Anything that disrupts the quality of your life, any addiction is not good.
近年の調査では世界トップクラスの1人当たりの GDP を誇る富裕層の国の生活が何も住みやすい社会とは限らないと報告され、調査によるとシンガポール人の約半数は数週間にわたりほぼ毎日悲しみや絶望感を感じるほどのうつ状態を経験し、27% は過去1年の間に自殺を真剣に考えたことがあり、そしてそのうちの大半が15歳から35歳未満の若年層。シンガポールでの10代の死因第1位は日本と同じ自殺だと公表された。So thank you so much for your time. What's your name?
My name is Singi.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So you're from here?
Yes, I'm from Singapore. I was born here, grew up here for a little bit, and then I moved to Australia for a while, but now I'm back.
Alright, so how is the life in Singapore?
It's good for the most part, although it's very stressful. It's very pressurizing. I work in finance. I work in a big private equity sector. So working hours are obviously very long. Anywhere from, I would say, 8 to 12 hours a day, depending on how much work there is in that season. But in general, that's what we're all used to. That's what everybody's doing.
So have you got any depression before? Like you went to hospital or like to take something medical or something?
I mean, it comes and goes, definitely. When I was younger, I was definitely struggling with my mental health and depression a little bit more. So especially when I was studying, especially in secondary school when I was studying for O-levels, like that was really pressurizing. There was a lot of times where I wanted to just give up, where I wanted to just, do something completely different with my life, disappear. Right? There were so many times I wanted to just run away from home.
Wow.
Disappear, not do anything, just live in a forest.
Live in a forest?
Like, I would love to just like live in the middle of like the Amazon jungle and not have any pressure.
Is that like all your friends also? When you're like your friends from school or everyone's different?
Everyone's different for sure. But I would say a large percentage of people were also very stressed out. It's hard to have a social life.
イギリス植民地支配から独立した60年前、シンガポール人口の約 70% 以上が極度の貧困の中で暮らし、高水準の失業、食料不足、世界最悪のスラム街が多く存在するアジアの最貧困の一つとして誰も期待していなかったが、30年以上総理大臣を務めたリー・クワンユーが経済的な危機を支えた。彼の政策はシンガポールには天然資源がなく、唯一の資源は国民と国民の努力のみと宣言し、グッド、ベター、ベスト、 Never Let It Rest というメッセージは小さな子供をターゲットとして叩き込まれ、外国企業の税金を10年間免除するなどの政策を取り、資金と人材、ノウハウを持つ外国投資を呼び込み、功績、スキル、パフォーマンスに基づいて報酬を与える実力主義。才能がある人であればどんな場所に生まれても上に上がれる社会を作った。そしてこれはシンガポールの教育システムにも反映され、国の予算の最大 20% を教育に充て、シンガポール全土の学校では頻繁にテストを行い、頭脳レベルによってクラスが分けられ、小学6年生が全員受けなければならない全国統一試験では、良い結果を出せばより良い中学校、高等教育へ進め、キャリアや人生を見据えることができる実力社会システムを導入した。結果、アジア最貧国から世界のトップまで発展したシンガポールだが、経済発展とともに多くの犠牲もあったみたいです。
So how was your childhood like when you were young?
I mean, Singapore, we obviously have a very strict education system. So right from primary school, I think there was a huge pressure to study really hard.
Okay.
After studying after school, I would go home and there would be additional tuitions, there would be additional lessons, right? But in general, it's just like, 6, 10, 12, about 12 to 14 years of study.
When you were young, like, you know, you used to speak with your parents about your careers, like what you want to be, and then also around you, like kind of friends, and then stuff like this, always speaking about that.
Yeah.
Right. But did you enjoy that, or you didn't enjoy? You didn't, or you don't know?
I think I definitely struggled when I was younger. You know, I didn't feel like I could really be who I wanted to be. I couldn't have fun. I couldn't make mistakes. You know, and if I do make mistakes, I felt like I was letting my parents down because it's so expensive. You know, even schools are expensive, so they're paying so much for me to be in school. They're putting this massive investment into me so that I can have a good job. But was that what I really wanted? I don't know. It was just kind of we're putting so much effort and investment into you.
Yep.
Please study hard. Please get a good job.
Honestly, the school system isn't. It's just very straight. Like there's no room for creativity. Like, you can't be anything. You have to be like this. There's no way to be like, you know. And if maybe if teacher says like you have to do it this way, and you find another way to do it, it's wrong.
It's wrong. You have to go straight.
Yeah, you need to do it like this.
Right.
建国の父リー・クアンユーが掲げたシンガポールを唯一前進させる方法は国民の絶え間ない努力。シンガポールにはキアスという言葉がある。失うことの恐怖、負けることの恐怖などの様々な意味があり、具体的には1円でも安く買う、人より良い給料を得るといった行動を通じて自分は利益を得たと実感させる気質。こうした気質は高い学習意欲や労働意欲につながり、あらゆる取引から最大限の利益を得たり、人々が一生懸命働くことで経済にはいいというプラスの効果もあるが、このテーマを研究している社会学者や心理学者によると、気安の精神性が個人の順応性の向上、自尊心の低下、創造性の低下に直接つながり、新しいアイデアや探求する能力を殺し、自尊心と創造性が最も重要なビジネス、起業家精神で成功するには不向きという声もある。
So, what do you think about the kiasu? You know, like, do you think kiasu is like related to people taking a drug or no?
Singapore is a very competitive society. A lot of parents want their child to be better. So much so that a lot of parents put their child through a lot of unnecessary stress. So from young, they give them enrichment classes. For example, after school, they come back, send them for piano, send them for ballet, which I think is very unnecessary. Our body needs rest. We cannot work continuously without stress. So what do some people do? I know of some cases like lawyers and even doctors who take meth, who take ice, so that they can function and work throughout the night, or even up to 2 to 3 days without rest or sleep.
Just only about to get better than others.
So yes, so that they can bring in more jobs and more money.
とある記事ではキアストはもともと失敗を恐れる兵士を指すために使われていたが、移民国家であるシンガポールでは移民は一般的に教育を受けておらず、社会階級が低いため十分な生計を立てるためには競争的でなければならなかったとして、キアスという言葉が日常生活で使われるようになった。そして現在も自分のキャリアが決められる子供の頃のテスト、高騰する住宅価格、世界一物価の高い国にて生き残れるかの恐怖、ストレス、不安が子供の頃から常に避けられない環境がシンガポールには残っていると。How expensive to live in Singapore?
Expensive.
Yeah.
So cars here, very expensive. And then houses are so expensive.
Oh, really?
Houses are ridiculous to buy.
Okay.
So especially private housing, very, very expensive.
What about the HDB? Like you wanna get the HDB or no?
Yeah,
It's
so
cheaper, no?
With public housing, which is HDB, you actually need to be married or
Right.
need to be engaged in order to apply for HDB. You need to have a partner, essentially, to apply for HDB. So you cannot apply for it yourself. There's no guarantee that you get it as well. So when you apply for it, you get a number. And you are just a number waiting in line. And I've applied before, actually. I didn't get it.
Wow.
Failed. Yeah, applied twice, failed. And then what ends up happening is when you actually get the keys for your public housing or HDB, anywhere from 3 to 6 years of them building the house, you have to be married when you take the keys.
What about if you divorce?
No keys for you. HDBs have a 99-year lease. After 99 years, government takes it back.
Oh.
So you pay up to 500k
Yeah.
for public housing. 99 years, gone. If you have kids, your kids can't even take it. It's back to the government.
So like how much you need to make a money to survive good in Singapore, you think? At the moment now, right now, 2024.
Comfortable, I think it'll be higher than 5.
Oh, yeah?
Sure, yeah. I would say this is just me, right? You can maybe 8,000.
Wow. Per a month?
Yeah, or 10,000.
Wow.
If you want a comfortable life.
What about like just minimums?
I mean, you can get by with like sometimes you can get cheaper food. Don't drink. Trying to smoke less. Like stuff like that. You can do a lot of things to cut costs. Maybe I would say 4 to 5.
世界一豊かな国の一つと呼ばれるシンガポール。現在国民の 85% は働きすぎで疲れ果て限界が来ているとの調査があり、将来に経済的な余裕がないとの理由で日本より低い世界最低の出生率の一つ。高齢化が進む中、特にシンガポールで出生率が低いことが他の国以上に問題視される理由に、今までの経済成長戦略が人口増加と一生懸命に人より働くこと。シンガポール唯一の資源、人が少なくなると必然的に経済力も落ち、今までの戦略では通用しないとも言われている中、これからどのような対策をして進んでいくのかが注目されている。Why did you decide to quit the gang?
Every time when I go to prison, I would always tell myself, Bruce, make this the last time. But each time when I come out, I would always go back to my old ways and get into trouble in the law again. My problem has always been with drugs. I think all of you know that drugs can do strange things to a person. So drugs had made me lie, steal, rob and cheat. And drugs had also turned me into a very violent man. So during my last imprisonment, I spent a lot of time thinking about my life as to, why do I keep on reoffending and coming in and out of prison? After many months of sincere soul searching and rumination, I finally found the answer. I have a daughter who is 15 this year. She's my only child, and she is the love of my life. When I was in prison, her mother used to bring her to visit me once every month. And there was this particular day when she came. That day was very special. It was special because that day was her birthday. She had turned 4. So her mother had bought a brand new dress. And she was so proud of it that when she stepped into the cubicle to visit, she started to parade herself to show off a new dress. And then when she sat down, I sang her birthday song. So all of us were singing and clapping, and we were all so happy. And then at the end of the song, my daughter looked at me and she said, "Dada, Cherry." I tell you, when I heard that, my heart absolutely dropped. And I did the only thing I could. And that was, I shook my head.
Yeah.
And I tell you, when she saw me doing that, she cried and she bawled, I want to go home, I want to go home. That day was the worst day of my entire life. And that was the day I told myself, Bruce, you have to call it a day.
And now what do you do?
I am now a motivational speaker and a content creator.
Okay.
For the past 8 years, I've been going around schools, organizations, churches, sharing about my life story. My hope is that when I share my failures, my downfalls to others, people could listen, that they could learn from my mistake.
今回ね、シンガポールのことについてネットの情報で調べたところ、ほとんどネガティブな情報がなかった。地元の人と話すことによって知ったリアリティ。たくさんのね、人、インタビュー、今回 NG だったんですけど、その NG だった理由がですね、めちゃめちゃ衝撃的やって、この国には言論の自由があるようでない。例えばリー・クワンユーのネガティブな発言をカメラの前でしてしまうと、僕の身に何が起こるかわからない。この国は様々なこと表上に出てないけど、もみ消しになっていることがたくさんあるとね。まあそれはね、今回インタビュー NG だったたくさんの人の意見であって、まあ事実なのか事実じゃないのか、それがわからんまま本人の口からじゃなくて僕が言うのはどうかなということで、まあ今回ね、そのことについてはあんまり触れてないんですけど、でも事実約60年間でここまで発展したシンガポールでもその裏には常にダークネスっていうのはあるんだなぁと、なんか深く見てみてね、思いましたね。この世界ほんまに完璧っていう文字は存在するのかな。いいものの裏には常に悪いものがあって初めて一つなんじゃないんかなってめちゃめちゃ実感しましたね。まあでもその両方知った上で学びを与えてくれたシンガポール、さらに好きになりましたということで、動画がええなと思ったらチャンネル登録のほどよろしくお願いしますということで、シンガポールからでございます。アディオス。